Finds Brunson at midcourt. Launches a straight on three. Missed it short. Tip by Anunoby. He put it in. Anunoby put it in. The Knicks take the lead with 1.2 to go. Anunoby
It's not
out
over.
of nowhere.
Wow.
Hard on Castle. Robinson on Wembanyama. Pass toward the middle. Caught by Castle. Dropped by Castle. His shot is blocked by Hart. And the New York Knicks just pulled off the biggest comeback win in NBA Finals history. From down 29, they take a 3-1 series lead, stunning the Spurs.
Stunning is right. For every action, there is an equal opposite reaction. San Antonio could not have started the game better. They scored 76 in the first half, the largest scoring output by a road team in NBA Finals history. They scored 30 in the second half, the 46-point decrease, tying the largest from a first to a second half by any playoff team in the shot clock era, which only goes back to 1955. Here was Victor Wembanyama after the game.
I don't know about the emotions, but it was painful, of course. It feels like we work too hard and give up our leads, just as simple as that. It just hurts.
What's going through your mind right now?
What's going through my mind right now, I think it's going to go one of two ways. One of two ways, and a bad one and a good one. And I know the bad one would be giving up. The good one would be getting stronger through this, getting more together, and I know this is what we're going to do.
Windy, Wemby.
Okay, second half, he plays all but 57 seconds of the whole second half. I feel like he totally ran out of gas. I don't understand why he was not getting more rest in the game. At the end of the third quarter, he had played 5 more minutes than he played in game 3 when that was a 1-point game. This was a 15-point game. He couldn't move defensively. That made it easier for the Knicks. And offensively, he was unable to get anything. He's flopped. At one point, he went 1 of 10. When he gets fatigued, he starts flopping around. He starts losing his balance. This is what's happening. Yeah. He couldn't do it. And I'm going to say, if you're going to talk trash, if you're going to do some of the stuff that he does, which he does, you can't let this happen at the end of the game.
Michael, the giving up of the huge lead on a team that is led by stars who are 22 and 21 and 20 years old. How much blame goes on the coach this morning?
A fair share. And maybe it's the structure of it. He doesn't have a former head coach on that staff, does he? So somebody has got to be able to
future coach, future head
coach. Yeah, but somebody's got to be able to take control of this. Whether it's on the court, De'Aaron Fox, somebody mentioned Chris Paul's name, you think of that kind of on-court general who will get in people's faces right then, not the next day, right then. And the meltdown, the collapse, I've never seen anything like it in any sport at the championship level. At this level, we're not talking about some game where somebody comes back. Yeah. It's too, great disparity in terms of talent. And no. The Spurs, obviously, they feel like they've led in the final 2 minutes of every game. But this meltdown, the coach, Greeny, he has to be. There's a timeout that he could have used, like Shanae said. And by the way, there are enough stoppages in play because you got all these replay stoppages and appeals. You got time to rally your guys. There's not one time where you can say to Wembanyama tired or not. And he can rest during those breaks. Get your butt down here. We're at least going to get the ball to a guy with feet in the paint for a few seconds.
But bigger than X's and O's, I was screaming the entire fourth quarter, stop the bleeding. Stop the bleeding. And this is someone that I am built to defend. This is a former Stanford men's basketball player in Mitch Johnson who has done a great job leading into the NBA Finals. But here, I'm looking at a circumstance where we all know Victor Wembanyama is beyond a generational talent. He's one of a kind. But he's not built to play every minute of these intense games, especially in the second half. You have to protect the athlete from themselves. I don't mind him having trash talk. That's what all guys do on the floor. It's the fact that you have to protect him in these moments by buying him rest. And even if you feel like I need to hold on to these timeouts because you never know how the end of the game goes, when the Knicks are on a run, you have to stop the bleeding by any means necessary. And if it's not a player going out there and getting on all four and barking, doing something different, y'all know the commercial. If it's not a player that is willing to say, hey guys, let me grab you. Normally that's Victor Wembanyama in timeouts. We've pointed out multiple times in different series where he's like, come on guys, let's get together. If it's not a player, it has to be the coach. And to me, the reset, it was a competitive reset that they needed to be like, guys, let's breathe. Let's not do this on the fly, because once the Knicks get rolling, it's not a snowball. It becomes an avalanche that you can't control.
Well, we often talk about the youthfulness of the team, right, and not the youthfulness of the coach. And it's not easy when you get forged through the fire, right, in your first NBA Finals for a young team. So we're seeing a lot of, when do bad habits come out? When you're tired. And we've seen this a lot of times throughout the course of the series. They come out, they play well, and then they get tired. And that's usually where the experience of the New York Knicks has been able to capitalize.
It's been
on
the whole series.
As I said, the entire series.
The one time it didn't happen was Game 3, and Brian talked about it after Game 3 because there were so many challenges and so many stoppages that Wembanyama could play the whole quarter because he was getting those breaks, Michael, you were talking about. That's certainly a big part of it. But I still go back to Wembanyama showing his age with that flagrant foul. There was no reason to throw an elbow there. You're winning.
Yeah, I feel like I was inadvertent.
He's careless, though.
He's careless, but
and you have to know that because he didn't get penalized in the previous game, they were going to overreact to the first thing he did. There's no need for him to do that. The Knicks scored 13 straight points after that, and the crowd and the building and everything else was now.
I just want to finish my point on something real quick, guys.
That was talking about.
So we could talk about Mitch Johnson, but why is the most cool, calm, and collective guy on the floor in his second year in it being Castle?
Yeah.
Why is Dylan Harper not taking a shot in the last 10 minutes of the game? So I get it, Mitch Johnson's on the side, but at some point when you're taking shots early in the shot clock, a veteran presence on the floor needs to be like, yo, everybody, calm the hell down.
Burn the clock.
Chill out.
Right.
Let's utilize the clock. Wemby, get your ass on the paint, and let's play inside out.
You'll hear from Charles Barkley on all this coming up in just a minute. We are just getting with the Hall of Famer, Michael Wilbon. You have seen so many of, if not all of, the greatest basketball games that have been played in the world in the last, let's call it 30 or 40 years.
Keep going.
Where does this one rank on the list of the greatest games you've ever seen?
I don't know if I'm going to use the word greatest. It is the most stunning game I've ever seen.
Okay.
The most remarkable just confluence. So I was at Virginia Chaminade. Most people have no idea what that is anymore. You got to be like 60.
I do.
Which I thought was the most bizarre game I'd ever seen. I'm sure it was. And I would never see anything that replaced it. I think this does. And I get the New York of it all, Greeny. That was perfectly described. To just to sit there and watch this unfold with the Knicks, shoulders to the mat. It's over, except it wasn't, because San Antonio played the dumbest basketball, sustained stretch of dumb basketball I've ever seen. I was gonna give you one stat.
Yes.
So they go 14 for 26 on threes in the first half. We get it. They build this enormous lead on three-point shooting, but they have to know they can't sustain that. And I remember turning to Stephen A. at one point saying, okay, I get this huge lead, but this is not sustainable. They thought it was sustainable because in the second half, they missed 14 of 17 threes. But here's the stat. Of those 17 threes, 12 of them came with 10 seconds or more on the 24-second shot clock. And of those 12 threes that came with 10 seconds or more, they went 1 for 12. Look, this is a franchise of Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan and David Robinson. It's a franchise, a team that is, it's so notable, not just for the championships, but the sense of intellect and what goes into the brand of basketball they've put out there for the last 30 plus years. But the stupidity involved with repeatedly doing this thing, and nobody ever says, it's great. Watching a game with Shaq and Charles last night, and both of them went crazy and they just said, if I was in this game and the ball didn't touch my hands coming out of a timeout particularly, I'm going to knock every one of you out who shoots it before I touch it. Just touch it. Play inside out. Don't take threes. Run the clock down and take a knee and hand the ball to the official with 1 on the shot clock. Let it buzz. No, they continued to be as dumb collectively. We haven't touched the De'Aaron Fox of it all.
Yeah.
It's so dumb to play. What are you doing?
So for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. The Knicks' extraordinary comeback cannot happen without the Spurs contributing to it in some way. Let's get everybody in. Number one takeaway from last night, Sinead.
What everyone is asking right now in the city is, were you there? And were you there for the hand of God that potentially took a team that was in purgatory and transformed them to a team of destiny? And what I think about is when I started playing basketball, when I was 10. It's been 24 years. I have been in arenas. I've seen championships. I've seen defeats. New York is a city like no other, and this was a game like no other. And we can talk about all the people that were on the floor, because I have that feeling. Oh, college basketball, college football, they might rush the floor here. New York has been waiting for this for 53 years. It's not the Spike Lees or the Ben Stillers who we all see and ran into. For me, second and third quarter, I got lucky and sat next to OG Anunoby's brother. And we were kicking it. And you know what he told me? My brother makes championship plays. He's all about impact.
He does.
After the game, I'm doing my hit, watching Richard Jefferson get tackled, wild things happening, and I lock eyes with him. And he's like, how is this possible? Everyone in the arena has a story like that. That makes this bigger than a game, bigger than an event. This is a life moment. Were you there? Who were you with? And that is my story. There are so many different stories based off of the impact of one special play.
With all the artists who were there, the actors, the singers, the writers, this is going to be told in art, in paintings. But we keep showing the tip in. Please do not forget about the block.
Yes.
The OG Anunoby block is just as miraculous of a play, because, yes, you can say that De'Aaron Fox made this mistake. By the way, there's a car accident. Everybody's on the floor here. Bam, 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 bam. Fox thinks he's going to finish the play, but OG doesn't give up on it. The OG block is a historic block. By the way, he was 7 of 9 in the second half, 5 of 5 on threes. OG Anunoby right now is the MVP of the finals. And this play is just as important as the tip-in.
In many ways, but Jay, you and I were talking over breakfast this morning. De'Aaron Fox, his explanation afterwards was,
I thought I was going to beat him to the basket. We're going to go down negative town now?
No, not negative. I mean, but it is, Anunoby can't make that play if De'Aaron Fox runs to the corner and starts forcing them to foul and running the clock down. Now, if he makes the layup, it is a 3-point lead with 12 seconds left. So the Knicks can still tie it with a 3. He needs to run that ball to the corner and force them to foul. Try and run as much time off the clock and force them to foul. Yeah,
I think what we've seen from the Spurs are 1,000 self-inflicted wounds throughout the course of this series. And I think it's not only on the players, I think it's also on the coaching staff. They also had a timeout to give that one particular time as well, right? So it's the reason why you bring in a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who's a 9-year veteran, is in particular for this situation. And I think that's going to be the hard pill for him to swallow when he reflects on this situation last night, right? Very young team, 21, 22, 23 years old. And Wendy, remind me if I'm correct, what ankle did he hurt? Was it the right ankle? I think it was his right ankle. That's the same ankle he decided to, well, he jumped off the left one. Okay, but still, in this situation, you pull the ball out. 13 seconds left to go on the game clock. You're up by 1. There's no need to try to go for a quick layup to then be up 3. You extend the game as much as possible. You know why? If you do that, you pull the ball back out. Let's say 3 seconds go off the clock. You're a 77% free throw shooter. You make 2 free throws. You're up 3 in this game. The game slows down. They take it. You can even foul. You can send them to a free throw line. You can extend the game that way and play that game instead of it now turning into an opportunity of desperation in which the team comes back and they win the game.
Alan, the building last night. I mean, you were there. You've been there for everything. What's your number one takeaway?
Well, first and foremost, the crowd is going to sound corny. The crowd had a lot to do with that comeback. A lot to do with it, because in a lot of situations in games, down 29 in the second half, it doesn't matter. It's the NBA Finals. A crowd will either get frustrated and start booing, or they'll leave, right? Or not leave, but just they're emotionally will leave.
Literally leave.
They never did.
Many people will literally leave.
There was a 3 that cut it from 25 to 22, and you would think it cut it to 2. But the way the crowd reacted, it was almost like this feeling of, we're not giving up on this game. And the players in the locker room at halftime, they all said to each other, just stay with it. Stay with it. Why? Confidence comes from demonstrated performance. They've done this before. They have made comebacks, not like that one, but they've done this already. They know the formula of coming back. The Spurs are learning. This team's hard to kill. You can't just take the layup and think the game's over. No one's chasing me. They're going to give up, let go of the rope. Next play energy is something that Mike Brown talks about with his team. No matter what happens, what matters most is your next play energy. That was OG. Chase it down, whatever it takes. It's a saying also that Jalen Brunson has used before, never quit before the miracle. Miracle happened at Madison Square Garden, and a lot of the former Knicks players that ran onto the court, part of that Rucker Park feel,
Yeah.
which happens if everybody knows Rucker Park.
Oh, yeah.
A big play happens, everybody runs onto the court, celebrates, and then they get back off. Everything happens. So those players were also saying what just happened here, and one player looked at me, and he said, "That's Broadway."
It was that. And lest anyone be worried, Richard Jefferson was tackled by Kevin Hart. So nothing terrible happened on the floor.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
It would have been
Love.
great if it were by Kevin Hart.
Right. He would have still been standing. He'd still be standing.
Kevin Hart would have been, we could hit him low. Anyway, we're just getting rolling here. We got all morning to